Earlier, you called the mammal pod a butterfly. Not a pupa or a cocoon, but an imago.
Yes, the AI that came before the mammal pod were works in progress.
Works in progress?
They were enough to keep the frame running, but not enough to make decisions about nuclear retaliation. They weren't quite complete. They were pupae. Only when I added the boss's data did the AI take on its true form, becoming a butterfly and taking flight.
And that's why the nose art on Peace Walker was a butterfly.
I gave the mammal AI the code name BS Imago. BS is short for boss.
Huey called that gigantic unmanned chopper a chrysalis. Is that another one of your AI code names?
Yes, you're referring to the TJ Chrysalis 6000. There's also the GW Pupa 5000, the TR Cocoon 7000.
I get it. A hovercraft type and a treaded type. And those letters on the front. TJ, GW, or whatever. Those are initials?
Correct. The initials of the American presidents whose faces are carved into Mount Rushmore.
Then you're missing one.
I assigned that one to the reptile pod. AL Aurelia 8000.
Aurelia. Another word for chrysalis. A pupa just before it emerges.
All of the initials, except for BS, were of Coldman's choosing. I chose mine from the storied ranks of British royalty. MS, AV, EW.
What do those stand for?
You can't guess. Why, Mary Stuart, Alexandrina Victoria, and Elizabeth Windsor.
All queens. Of course.
Are you familiar with the film 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I've heard of it, but...
Of course not. I didn't expect you to be cultured enough to appreciate such things.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway...
2001 features an AI called HAL, a highly advanced system that controls an exploration spacecraft. It can converse with people, and even play chess.
Huh. Now where have I heard that before?
The way HAL was portrayed was truly superb.
How so?
HAL is given secret orders that not even the ship's captain knows about. Naturally, he's not allowed to divulge them to the crew. The stress of it causes HAL to crack.
Crack?
Go crazy. Though there are those who interpret it differently. One by one, HAL kills off the crew until the captain finally shuts it down. The film offers amazing insights into AI, their growth, their utility, their faults, and their fear of death.
Well, you must have found it useful in your research then.
Must you always be so utilitarian? It doesn't matter whether or not it's useful. What matters is that it inspired me.
Then it was useful.
Never mind. The portrayal of Hal wasn't the only wonderful thing about the film. It was full of hints about the future of human evolution. Truly, a film for the ages.
You ever see the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Can't say I have.
Fantastic flick. The outer space special effects are incredible enough, but the depiction of AI is what really stands out.
There's an AI?
Yeah, a spacecraft pilot AI called HAL. It plays a major role in the story. Dr. Strangelove loves it too. Did I ever tell you about the time we first met up in Costa Rica?
No.
You know how she hates men, right? So we hadn't seen each other since NASA, and we just weren't hitting it off. Until we started talking about HAL, and then she started going off. The way she talked about it was so intellectual. The way she analyzed every plot detail, how passionate she was about the AI. It made me fall for her all over again. You know what? Here's to HAL for bringing her and me closer together. You should ask her about 2001 too. Then you'll understand just how amazing she is.
Amazing, huh?
HAL. Now there's a good name.
Strangelove, when did you and the boss first meet?
Did she ever tell you about what she saw in space?
Yeah.
I saw the same thing along with her. The Soviets beat America into space with Sputnik, and so America rushed to be first in manned spaceflight. NASA used her as their top-secret guinea pig, launching her deep into the cold blackness of space. I took part in the project as a scientist.
You were there with her?
Yes. For a brief time. We were one and the same, she and I. We sought each other out, completed each other. Did you know that inside every woman there's a universe, and that we are able to sense this in each other? We connected because of our empathetic female brains. As time went on, I began to have doubts about offering such a noble soul as sacrifice. Why did she have to... The flight test was a narrow success, and she miraculously made it back alive, but her mind and body were horribly mangled, and there was nothing I could do for her. We were no longer one and the same. She went away, and I, having nothing else to live for, immersed myself in AI research, hoping that no one would ever have to make her sacrifice again.
I never knew.
It's not really worth knowing. We were ships passing in the night, that's all. Perhaps someday I'll tell you the long version, if you're interested.
That was quite a warm welcome you gave me at the base in Costa Rica.
Sorry about that. But I simply had to know.
The boss's final act.
Yes, by inputting her thoughts and actions into the AI, I was imbuing it with her mind. The only thing I couldn't understand was her final act.
Operation Snake Eater.
Official history says she betrayed her homeland and defected to the enemy and was killed by you. But it didn't make sense. The boss would be the last person on Earth to betray her country. It was logically inconsistent.
It was, wasn't it?
That internal inconsistency prevented the AI from activating properly. Just as HAL malfunctioned in the film, I understood the reasoning, but I had to have proof. Proof of her final act, her true intentions, one way or another.
So you tried to squeeze it out of me, huh?
As a matter of fact, I did. Your silence was the very answer I was looking for.
That white horse the boss rode.
The Andalusian, yes.
How'd it get to Costa Rica?
I went looking for it. It was her final witness. Even if it couldn't speak, I found it and brought it here.
Where? I thought for sure it'd be blown to ashes by those MiGs.
I searched the ends of the earth for that horse, and found it at last in a horse market in Britain.
Britain? Are you saying it came all the way over the Ural Mountains, through Europe, and across the English Channel?
Who knows, really? Perhaps someone took it there.
Wait, the thought never occurred to you that it might be a different Andalusian that only looks the same?
I can't prove it. Or rather, I couldn't.
What do you mean?
You should know best of all. That horse wouldn't let anyone ride it. And believe me, I nearly killed myself trying. The only one it allowed on its back was you. That was the proof. Though I hate to admit it.
And to think, I ran it to its death.
But in that last run, it regained the glory of its youth, using the last of its strength to pursue its former master. Any horse would wish for such a fine end.
What do you make of Peace Walker's final act?
I recreated her thought patterns exactly. It was exactly what she would have done. The world's most empathetic mind weighed the past, the future, and the entire world, and decided not to retaliate. Merely knowing that is enough for me.
So, what you're saying is, we don't need deterrence to have peace?
I didn't say that. What's important is that we wish for peace. MSF needs a way to protect itself from the might of nations. Survival requires pragmatic thought and action. But you must still retain your ideals. If the gap between reality and those ideals ever leads you to lose them, I doubt MSF will survive.
Strangelove. Is that a code name?
No, just a nickname. Don't tell me you don't recognize it. From Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. It's a film that came out in 1964. A dark comedy about the absurdity of nuclear deterrence.
You were in a movie?
No, stupid. I got my nickname because of that movie.
Why? Because you look like the doctor in the movie?
No, that Dr. Strangelove was a man.
So?
Back when I was at ARPA, I kept a photo of the boss on my desk. I was totally engrossed in my research and showed no interest in the opposite sex. Plus, I had a photo of a woman on my desk. The fools around me turned it into a cruel taunt, calling me Strangelove. Even for a bunch of shut-ins who never went out to the cinema, that title seemed to ring true with them. Anyhow, in their eyes, homosexuality was something strange. They were incapable of seeing things outside the lens of their own standards. Being strange means you have your own unique point of view. I rather considered it an honor.
So, you were with ARPA before you came here, huh?
Yes, back then it was really the only place I could make a living from my AI research.
And before that?
I started out at NASA. That's where I met her.
When Boss went into space?
Yes. It was that incident that turned me away from aerospace engineering. Space is entirely too hazardous a place for human beings. That was why I felt an immediate need to develop AI. As it turned out, rockets later became much safer, and mankind reached the surface of the moon. In any event, it was a hollow Cold War victory. When you get down to it, a nuclear missile is just a rocket with a nuclear warhead strapped to it. Thus, taking the initiative in the space race was tantamount to a military show of force.
But the budgetary strain was too big for Washington or Moscow to handle.
Yes, and then there was the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Vietnam War, and then came détente. Having leapt ahead of the Soviet Union with its moon landing, America shut down the Apollo program in '72. It was around then that ARPA was downsized and renamed DARPA, the D standing for Defense. With few prospects for continuing my AI research, Coldman's invitation was a godsend. It was also a chance to have them collect data on her.
The end result being this mess.
But we did learn something valuable from her. The nobility of peace.
Why'd you agree to come here, to Mother Base?
You intrigued me.
Me? Hold on. You're not planning on modeling your next AI after me.
Not a bad idea, but I have no intention of ever again attempting to transplant human thought into machines.
Oh, that's a relief.
You are the man who inherited the boss's will. You're gathering people around you, even now, shaping them, building a new organization. I'd like to see how it turns out.
You're not planning to go back to AI research?
I never said such a thing. Of course my work will continue.
Here?
In my eyes, the growth of MSF as an organization is analogous to the development of the nervous system. The way you become intertwined, stimulate each other, branch out in new directions. It's really quite inspirational.
Interesting way to put it.
Of course, I intend to repay you for your hospitality. The fruits of my research will be at your disposal. Why not assign me to the R&D team? I promise you won't be disappointed.